My name is Tony Ross-Hellauer. I'm the scientific manager for OpenAIRE. Today I'll just give a brief presentation to tell those of you who aren't familiar with OpenAIRE, which a lot of you will be, a little bit about OpenAIRE and why we are involved with the field of open peer review. So, OpenAIRE is an e-infrastructure for open science. We are with an EC-funded project. We're now in our third phase of project funding. We've been going since 2009. And our mission has evolved along with the open access policies of the European Commission. So we were funded by the European Commission to help implement and monitor their open access policies. The European Commission, since 2008, had a pilot on open access. We helped disseminate information on that and monitor levels of compliance with the open access. And then in Horizon 2020, now, the open access pilot is extended to a mandate. So the European Commission, all funds for Horizon 2020 projects now require that all publications be made open access. The mandate is a green mandate. So even if you publish in APC journals, you still must deposit within a repository, deposit your paper within a repository. Although the EC does pay for APCs both from project budgets, but now also we are running a pilot to disseminate funds post-pilot. This is called the FP7 post-grant pilot. And then becoming more progressive with open science, the European Commission at the start of this year had an open data pilot. This was for about 20% of projects in Horizon 2020. In the same way as the open access pilot, and this was, projects had to commit, taking part in the pilot had to commit to making all the raw data that underpins claims in scientific publications, they had to commit to making that openly accessible. We've just found out that from 2017, this will now become, the word isn't mandate yet, but it will become open data by default. Lots of very easy opt-outs if you have concerns over sensitivity or competition or so on. Very easy opt-outs, but open data will become the default within Horizon 2020 from 2017. And so we can see here the evolution. The key concern at first was open access to publications. This was really, and for the European Commission, it was the key. And for OpenAIRE, it was the key. OpenAIRE stands for Open Access Infrastructure for Research in Europe. We were very much focused on open access, but as the European Commission has evolved, and we like to think that they have evolved with us as well, but so we have evolved with them. And so now OpenAIRE is very much an open science infrastructure for Europe. How do we do this? We have a network of national open access desks that provide awareness and help to harmonize and align policies, that provide support and training in how and what open science is, how you do it. We also provide interoperability and services. So we have, on the one hand, this human network, and on the other side, a digital network. The current project phase is OpenAIRE 2020. It has 50 partners from all over Europe. We're in every EU country and more. And we consist of data centers, universities, libraries, and especially repositories. To talk a little about the human infrastructure of OpenAIRE, the human infrastructure, the backbone of it is the network of national open access desks. So we have local representatives in every European country, every EU country and beyond. So we're also in Norway, Turkey, Serbia, and so on. And they provide local support for open access training and support. They help to align policies from the EC level down to the local level, and they also provide technical assistance. To find your National Open Access Desk, just go to the OpenAIRE portal /NOADS. And then finally, so the human infrastructure is about, from a European level, from the EC level, trying to bring that implementation right down to the national and to the local level, the institutional level. But then we also don't want to just be a European silo. Of course we don't want that, so we then have outreach via the Coalition of Open Access Repositories, via CORE. We have outreach to similar organizations in the rest of the world. We're in very advanced discussions with La Referencia. They have, in Latin America, a similar network. They've recently taken up our guidelines, and we also hold talks with SHARE in the US, for example. So this is the human infrastructure, and here, and this is the technical infrastructure. I won't spend too long here, but I just want you to look at the left-hand side. So the EC's policy is a green open access mandate, okay? And we are an infrastructure that is very much originally based on repositories. So repositories, institutional repositories and subject repositories are very much the backbone of our architecture at first. So what we do is we publish guidelines for repositories to say, publish your metadata in this standardized format, and then we can aggregate it, so we can act as the finding agent for all the very diverse repositories of Europe, for the EC to be able to check that their publications that they are funding have been made open access. So this is the monitoring aspect. So it's built on repositories, but we also take from CRIS systems, from Research Information Systems, and also straight from open access journals. And increasingly, we will be taken from data repositories as well, because with the Open Data Pilot, we are now very keen to move forward with the linking of data to publications. Once we have all this information, our tech people do some really clever things with text and data mining to find which projects they belong to, which institutions, they link the data to the publications and so on here. And then this allows things like discovery, monitoring, reporting, and so on. And the result is, this is the OpenAIRE information space, is 14 million publications with 7 million authors, more than 690 data providers, and lots of data sets, lots of publications, lots of organizations linked to each other. So the ideal being that the European Commission or any funders could go and look, they funded this project, how many publications came from this project, with which impact, and they can then see levels of compliance with open access, but they can also see what impact their research is having. Open access, OpenAIRE 2020, we've broadened our remit, like I said, into open science. So we are, for example, our information is all openly available via API, but we're also making it available now by linked open data. That service is already in beta. We are doing lots of things with the RDA and with the World Data System, WDS World Data System, in terms of data citation and literature data integration. We also are looking at legal issues in open data, issues of data protection and public sector information in open data. We're looking at new metrics for open access, and one more task we are looking at is open peer review. The idea being that open science is more than open access. It's about open process, open results, and open processes. We'll talk about this a lot today, so I won't dwell on it, but traditional peer review has problems, we know that, and these are some of the claims of problems with traditional peer review. And open peer review, of its many colors, is thought to be able to tackle some of these problems. So one thing that I would like, in the breakout groups this afternoon, one of the things that I would really like to work on is the question of what is open peer review, because I think a lot of people, I think sometimes we make competing claims and we're arguing past each other, because if I say open peer review helps with incentive, if you have a different model of open peer review in mind that doesn't have anything to do with incentive, you'll say, no, this is stupid. So I think one of the main problems that we have, and that a forum like this, and going forward, maybe we can work on this together, is to define what we mean by open peer review. And for me, it's an umbrella term. Traditionally peer review is anonymous, at least usually single or double blind. So it's anonymous, and it's selective in that the reviewers are usually selected by editors. And it's opaque in that the reviews, neither the reviews or the process are made public. So my conception of open peer review is any type of new peer review that changes one of these factors in order to tackle one of the perceived problems of peer review. So openness in peer review for me means either absence of anonymity, so open identity, or self-selecting reviewers, meaning open participation, perhaps here also open commentary comes into play, or public processes and public reviews. And this would be open access peer review, I suppose. What is OpenAIRE doing? So we've been doing a landscape scan of initiatives and models and so on. We will have a report coming. We will put out a stakeholder survey in July on specific issues. And we've also used the infrastructure, the OpenAIRE infrastructure, as a seedbed for small-scale experimentation with open peer review. The first one today was from Open Edition. My French is not so good, but Pierre Monnier is here, and he'll be chairing the panel later. This was really treated open peer review as a social rather than technical problem. They used existing technologies, so they used a blog platform, hypothesis.org, for open reviews, and they used hypothesis.is, the annotation software, for open commentary. So this wasn't about the technology at all. It was about the mediation and trying to get people involved. They did experiments with open review and with open commentary. Next, the result of a technical that we held was Josh from the, we have Josh Nicholson here, he'll speak shortly. Josh runs the Winnower, an open access journal for grey literature. And with them, the experiment was to try and incentivize post-publication peer review, specifically journal club reviews. You'll hear more about this later, and provide a platform for reviews for repository content generally and Zenodo content specifically. And then finally, OpenScholar, and Pandelis is here. He will be on the panel later as well. They produced an open peer review module plugin for DSpace repositories. This is a plugin which can be added to an institutional or subject repository, which makes it into a functional evaluation platform. It includes published reviews, disclosed identities, reviewer reputation system, and the complete code is open source and available on GitHub. Pandelis will tell you more later. So just to end, I just thought that I would give my 2 cents on where open peer review should go in future. And for me, I definitely think that we need to uncouple peer review from publishing. Peer review is another stage in the production of academic material. It's a necessary stage. I don't think that there is any better way of reshaping our material or acting as the filter than to have peers judging the work. But I would hope that we would see more services that function just as peer review platforms. I'm thinking here of things like Peerage of Science, and then the repository infrastructure here comes into play, because if you have repositories or preprint servers or postprint servers, and then you have a peer review module, if you have the repositories here, the researcher just puts the preprint here, you have the peer review module here, and the two can interact, then you have a functional platform to get publications to an advanced stage. You would then of course need publishing software at the next stage, but so the idea then is to federate open peer review services. We need to agree, and so we need standardization. Like I said, we need to agree what we're talking about when we're talking about open peer review, and we need to agree what models we're talking about. It would be great if we could agree how we measure the effectiveness of open peer review. For example, our experiments were small scale, and a lot of the results were such that there wasn't enough critical mass to be able to give authoritative answers. It was just, this shows in this direction. But how do we make such studies comparable so that we can use them to build an evidence base to say what works in what circumstances? This is something I think that we should work on. And finally, with this idea of federating services, I think that we need, and with this idea, coupled to this idea of a vocabulary for open peer review, I think perhaps we need to move towards standardization of metadata so that we can encode within reviews, if reviews are to become research objects themselves, so that we can encode what kinds of open peer review this is, under which circumstances, and make that so that this information can be shared between services, so that it's not locked in silos. These are my thoughts for the future of open peer review. I thank you all very much for coming today, and I think we're going to have a really great day. I hope everything goes as planned. I'm sure it won't, but I hope you bear with us if it doesn't. So that's thank you from me.